If you want to get the most out of your next gen or current gen systems, these guys, you're gonna need to find an HDMI 2.1 display. Now, it's pretty easy to find an HDMI 2.1 TV, even ones that are capable of 4K 120 Hz. But HDMI 2.1 monitors didn't even exist until just this year. The Eve Spectrum is kind of a big deal because it was slated to be the first HDMI 2.1 computer monitor, but it was beat to market by Acer and even LG. But I already pre-ordered one, so I decided to stick it out and give it a shot. The whole draw here is that this thing is capable of 120 frames per second console gaming, and I can still use it for my 4K computer setup. And honestly, I didn't even realize how much I was missing out on with all those frames. If you've got your console plugged in by your computer, this is one of your only options right now to get the most out of your $500 game boxes. Thank you, Trade, for sponsoring this video. I'm a big fat coffee snob. Coffee gets me really excited. So whenever I have to do an ad for Trade Coffee, I always overshoot the whole process. I get way too much footage. It's coffee time! Sometimes static comes out and it gets all clumpy because there's a lot of static in here. So what you do is you wet the beans. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. One notch more. Oh, we're almost there. it's been a long day of shooting. I just want my coffee. One more notch. Oh, I know what it is. It's not wet enough. Yes.
That looks great.
Oh, that looks good. And oh my God.
Wow.
Personally, I really enjoy the whole process. The hardest part might actually be finding great coffees, and Trade helps you find coffees from the nation's top roaster and ships it right to your door at peak freshness. So the way Trade works is you fill out a little survey on their website and you tell them how you make your coffee. Usually I say that I use espresso. You can also say you make cold brew or you do pour over or whatever. And they pick what coffee is best for you, and then they give you a new coffee to try every month or so, or however frequently you want it. Then rate your coffees so Trade knows what else you might be into. Trade guarantees that you'll love your first coffee, but if you don't, they'll ship you out a different bag completely for free. Okay, so 2 of these bags are for the sponsorship. One of them is because I have my own subscription with Trade. So they sent me Quill's Coffee Blacksmith Espresso Blend, Cherry, Honey, Toasted Almond, and Quill's Inkwell, Cane Sugar, Cherry, Vanilla. And I got myself Sterling Coffee Roasters, Dried Apples, and Honey. So if you want to try it for yourself, you go to the link in the description below, and you can get your first bag for free. And there's free shipping. So just go to the link in the description below, take that quiz, and Trade will send you something that you'll love. And thank you, Trade, for helping make something in my life a little easier. Kind of flubbed up the cold brew and it's a little watery.
That was really good. It's really understated.
It's watery. You don't know what you're talking about. If you've never heard of Eve, the company, before, I don't blame you. They're a relatively small company, at least compared to the Acers and LGs out there. Their shtick seems to be finding a need in the gaming space and trying to fill that need using crowdfunding. I saw that they were on the forefront of the HDMI 2.1 monitor tech, and that was a big deal to me because I needed that. And the new consoles that just came out, and HDMI 2.1 was the big buzzword. So I decided to pre-order one back in November, and it was $100 down back then. I had the privilege of fulfilling the rest of my purchase back in June. I also selected the $179 shipping because I wanted to be one of the first to get a video out about this, and it was either that or have it sit in a shipping container for over a month. Anyway, that was on June 6th, and I finally got the device on July 28th, so it ended up taking over a month anyway. I have friends who also pre-ordered one, and they got the regular shipping, and theirs still never even shipped yet. I didn't know anything about Eve, the company, before this either, but apparently they have a history of pre-order issues. So if you're interested in something like this, I encourage you to check out Engadget has a video, and so does Unbox Therapy. They have videos on what happened with their previous sort of crowdfunding situation. But I managed to get mine. Now, this is not a review unit. I purchased this with my own money, if I didn't make that clear enough. So I'm happy that I was able to go through the whole buying process like a consumer would. So, all of the purchasing issues aside, I will continue to talk about this thing as if it's an actual product that you could eventually get your hands on. It is a beautiful monitor, and it is very sleek, and it's got some great packaging. But the whole reason you're getting this is probably the great I/O. On the side, it has a USB-C port that is not for video, 2 times 3.0 USB-A ports, and a headphone jack. A headphone jack is very important for console gaming, especially if you have a PC setup like mine. I like to have my console audio going through HDMI to my computer so I can have it run through a capture card that goes into the monitor, and then it goes out through the headphone jack into my headphones so I can mix it with PC audio also. I have a little analog mixer. It's a little confusing, but I very much appreciate the headphone jack. On the bottom, you have 1 display port, 2 HDMI 2.1 ports for your 2 consoles, another USB-C, this time for video and whatever else, and a USB-B port. This is the first monitor I've purchased that came with 0 cables, aside from this beefy brick of an AC adapter that rivals the Xbox 360. Usually, monitors that I've purchased in the past always come with an HDMI cable, a DisplayPort cable, and a USB-B cable at the very least. Who has USB-B cables laying around? It also does not come with a stand. The stand is an additional $100 purchase. I'm not mad about this though. The stand is great. It's a solid chunk of aluminum. It's thin and sturdy, and most importantly, it can rotate 90 degrees in either direction on the fly without much effort at all. Plus, being able to save $100 if you plan on wall mounting the monitor is a great option. The first thing I did with this monitor is I plugged my MacBook in to edit the ad you just saw at the beginning of this video. I've edited on other USB-C monitors that have not been able to charge my laptop faster than my laptop consumed power, but the Eve Spectrum was able to keep my laptop at 100% battery even while rendering a 4K video. Eve's website even makes a big stink that with USB-C you only need 1 cable. However, the USB-A ports on this monitor will not work over USB-C, so I can't plug a thumb drive in there and transfer footage and stuff. So that was a little bit disappointing. I suspect that you're gonna need the USB-B cable for that. So if you had the intention of using this thing as sort of a USB-C hub, it's not quite gonna work that way, but at least it'll charge and display video at the same time. But my first impressions were good. Without any sort of calibration, I noticed the colors were a little warm while I was editing. Otherwise, everything was looking nice and crisp. Having that USB-C input will come in handy when I redo my setup to incorporate my MacBook a little more. But that's not what you're here for, and that's not very exciting. You're here for the gaming. I intend to play mostly Xbox Series X stuff through this monitor. Actually, I plan on playing mostly Nintendo Switch, but I mean, that's not going to utilize anywhere near the capabilities of this thing. I'll also play some PlayStation 5 stuff, whatever first parties I'm interested in. The new consoles support 4K at up to 120 frames per second, and I was actually shocked to learn that there are a lot of games that currently run at 4K and 120 frames per second. I thought that was just a random spec these console companies were throwing out there, and we weren't going to see that for a few years. Games like Call of Duty Warzone, which look absolutely gorgeous on this monitor. Not gorgeous graphically, just really clear and fast and responsive. The game doesn't have a frame counter on console, but luckily the monitor does. Warzone on Xbox Series X hovered between 100 and 120 frames per second, but visually I didn't notice any hiccups. It ran amazing. It's not often I'm blown away by stuff like this. I also got my first solo win on my first game with this monitor. Yo! God! That was crazy. Holy sh! Now, I'm not saying the monitor made me better, but maybe there is something that people always talking about how frames equals better gameplay. Rainbow Six Siege runs locked at a steady 120 frames per second, which also looks beautiful. It achieves this by dynamically scaling the resolution down instead of fluctuating the frame rate. However, visually, I didn't really notice any resolution dips. It looked great the whole time, although I have much less experience with Rainbow Six Siege than I do with Warzone. I looked up which games support 120 frames per second for this video, and to my surprise, the PlayStation 5 has like a handful of games, but the Xbox Series X has all this. And even more surprising, the Series S also has a bunch. Those are gonna be at max 1440p, but don't sleep on the Xbox Series S, especially if you have a 1440p gaming monitor that supports up to 120 frames per second. The PlayStation 5 can't even do 1440p, just at all. So if you have a 1440p gaming monitor, the Series S might be a better option for you, unless you want to eventually upgrade to something like this later. Xbox has a long list of high frame rate games, mostly because of Microsoft's optimization, FPS boost tech, and awesome backwards compatibility. I was shocked to find out that Ori and the Will of the Wisps runs at 4K 120 frames per second. It even has a 6K mode. This is already a beautiful game, made even prettier at this high resolution and frame rate. Obviously, you aren't going to be able to experience what the monitor actually looks like through this video. You're just going to have to take my word for it. They really should have setups like this in like Best Buys or something so that the general public can come around and get to experience what these new consoles look like at 4K 120 frames per second running through HDMI 2.1. But I guess most people would be doing that through TVs. I mean, it's 2021. Who watches TV anymore? Get your shit together on a PC setup. I also tried some Halo. I might insert a chunk here about Halo 5 Guardians and the PlayStation 5. I haven't even played those yet because I was waiting for the stupid thing to download.
Just a note about the PlayStation 5, in order to even turn on the high frame rate mode, you have to go into your settings, you gotta go to save data and game and apps for some reason. Pardon me here, my mic wasn't working for the shot. Then go to game presets and performance mode. That's where you access the high frame rate. It's very weird. After you do all that though, it runs great. It runs just as good. It just takes an extra step.
I know most people are interested in PlayStation, but the reason why I tried more Xbox games in this video was because I have Game Pass, and most of the high frame rate games I was able to just download off of Game Pass. On PlayStation 5, the only high frame rate game I have that I don't need to buy again is Cold War, and that's it. I have very little experience with high frame rate gaming other than people always telling me that it's better for competitive shooters and stuff, and I didn't really buy into the hype. Even when these new consoles just came out, I wasn't blown away by 1080p 120 frames per second gaming. Now I'm finally starting to see what all these PC gamers have been talking about for years. A lot of them have been boasting about 240 frames per second. This isn't that. But this is in 4K. I'm not going to sit here and argue the competitive advantages between 240 frames per second and 120 frames per second, but I will say that my noob eyes are really loving this 4K. Being able to get 4K at 120 frames per second out of your $500 game box is insane, especially if you play a lot of these competitive games on a home console. It's definitely not worth throwing out your $2,000 PC over, but if this is all that you have, this is a great setup here. I also don't think it's worth recommending the Eve Spectrum because of all of those production issues. If they sold this thing in stores, I would absolutely recommend it, or at the very least, say, go check it out for yourself and see if you like it. But they've had so many delays, and right now, if you go on their website right now and purchase one, it won't ship for 2 months, and on top of that, the shipping is an additional month. And you might still not even see it till way after that. Another big draw to this monitor is that gaming monitors that are at the cutting edge of tech are usually a lot of money, and this isn't even that cheap. The 4K model of this monitor, which is what I have right here, was $800, and then the stand was an additional $100, and shipping is not free. The LG monitor that they just came out with is the same price. Acer's HDMI 2.1 monitor that they came out with is $1,200, which is a little bit insane.
Okay, so it turns out that Acer now has a cheaper one that is $899. So it's the same price as all of the other ones. I like Acer. I currently edit on my Predator, so I might get this one for the studio instead.
But all of these monitors seem to be sold out right now. Right now, it might be worth it to hold up until all of the tech catches up. If Eve can fix their production issues, this might be the monitor to get. Otherwise, I'd say keep an eye on that LG. I'm personally going to need another monitor because I'm working on an office setup, and I'm probably going to be looking at that LG if I can get my hands on it. So maybe in the future, if you come to a live stream or something, I'll be able to give you a comparison between the LG and this thing. The tech is really cool, and I will say that it does make your next-gen gaming experience a lot better. But I would just hate to recommend something like this to you guys, and then you buy it, and then you wait around sitting on your hands for like 3 months, or even more. So maybe keep this information in the back of your mind when HDMI 2.1 monitors become more available and there's 4K at 120 hertz. You might want to be picking that shit up. It's pretty f***ing cool. So what do you guys think about the Eve Spectrum monitor or just gaming in general at 4K, 120 hertz, high frame rate? Have you tried it yourself? Is it something that you're interested in now, maybe? Leave it in the comments below. At me on Twitter, and all of this other social media garbage. I wish I could convey better to you how it looks. You really just gotta try it out. Of course, we have new videos at least once a week. Make sure you're subscribed to that. Oh, thank you, Trade, for sponsoring this video. Make sure you use the link in the description to get some free beans. And of course, the most important thing that you could do to help support this channel is just subscribe to it. Thank you. Only turn on notifications if you're gonna click on those notifications, and share this video with a friend who maybe has one of these nice new big boxes and would like to get a little more out of it. Thank you guys very much. Oh, make them buy it, and then you can go to their house and see how it looks, and then maybe you can think about getting it yourself later. That way you don't have to go through all the production troubles. Thank you very much. Have yourself a good week.